Thank you so much, Aifa. So before we wait for the chairs to be pulled up, so where did you go for the Indonesia Mengajar project? Did you get sent somewhere in rural area?
Yes, several.
Yeah. What was your most interesting experience?
I've been to Maluku Barat Daya, Tanimbar. If you.
That's in the eastern part of the country, close to Papua.
Yes, it's close to Papua.
So what was the experience taught you as a teacher?
The total numbers of the teachers in Maluku Barat Daya is very low, but the spirit of the students there is very high.
Yeah.
So even the teachers is not in the classroom, but the students is very excited to study. So sometimes it's like they have to walk 1 until 2 hours to go to the schools, but it's not make them to, no, I don't want to go to the school because you have to walk
determined to study.
But they still work, and then it's mean like pump for me. That's, oh my God, the challenge is very high, but they really like to go to schools. So, but in here in Jakarta, maybe you just have like 5 minutes to go to the school, but sometimes you maybe later. So
yeah.
So it's mean like the people in the remote area, the spirit is very high to having a good education.
Wow. Salute to all teachers. Please have a seat, and then I would like to invite back to the stage Yuka and also Mbak Im to join us. Again, we requested your participation. If you have questions, submit it to slido.com. Join the event, AIFED 2018. And I will read your questions, and otherwise I can go around. Bagi Bapak Ibu, saya ngelihat banyak yang orang Indonesia ingin bertanya dalam bahasa Indonesia. Silakan, nanti kita akomodir di sini. So we discuss a lot about education and also women participation in business and also technology. I guess the question will be to Yuka and Mbak Im, because you deal with technology. I guess in your industry also it requires some sort of knowledge to use technology. So how do you feel that the young generations who will work with you or for you, influenced by this wave of technology, can they adapt it quickly, or does it need more of time for them to adapt?
I think ladies can go first.
Okay, the young generation, I think they even adapt faster than millennials. Yeah, because they live with the technology. They breathe the technology. Technology is the air for them.
So it's easier for them.
It's much easier for them. I learned a lot. I work with my team. The eldest was about 25-year-old. Yeah, most of them. Most of them is 20 to 25, and they are so much into social media, so much into technology, they cannot live without their cell phone and all that. But that's the benefit. That's the benefit of Green Rights, because the first time we built the platform is via online. So from online, and then we go to offline. So having all those young generation to involve in our platform is so much giving benefits.
What about you, Yuka? I guess you work with multi-generations, with the workers and stuff.
For the workers, it's all about 30. But for our workers, it's the same, like 90% is below 30. And we're dealing with, it's not we, but I'm also, we're dealing with a generation that grew up with technology, with internet, and then they can access all the informations like in their fingertips. It's way different compared to what the older generation. So they can answer questions faster, but it also, the advance of technology has the weakness also. For us, because it's easier, sometimes the fighting spirit lacked a little bit, but I think we can play around that part. But the main thing is, what we see right now is that these are our teams, they sometimes don't, like, money is not their top priority. It's still important, but they want to do something that is meaningful. So how we retain these people is that we give something that can excite them to work every single day. So it's not about the cash. Sometimes what we do in recruitment is, hey, what do you plan after working at Brodo? It's our recruitment question. So what are you going to do after this? It's a weird question because they're not even in our company yet. But we form like an agreement. Okay, you want to be a director of marketing in FMCG company? Okay, join us. For the next 5 years, I'm going to, sorry to use the word, I'm going to abuse you. Like, I'm going to give you lots of challenges. But after 5 years, you've done a lot of projects, you build your own profile, you build your own reputation, now you can go work. It's been happening. Like our top talents, I'm either happy or sad, our top talents now work at lots of large companies. They got paid lots of premiums because their reputation on growing this small business into a bigger business. So,
how many employees do you have now, or
like,
people working?
Last time we counted 120.
120
yeah.
since 2010, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, wow, that's a lot. Okay, so if we're talking about technology advancement, what about like kids in the rural areas? How do you think they catch up with this advancement? I mean, we're talking about the big cities, they can catch up well, but what about in the rural areas?
Yeah, we believe that technology is also the things that's also important with the rural area, but it can be only the technology. We also have to provide the people who will assist that technology, because the people in the remote area, the access of the technology is very low. As you can see, that the limitation of the electricity or the limitation of the signal, even maybe they are focusing on what they will eat today. So we believe that technology and the people must be working together. So once the technology comes to the remote area, it must be assist with the people. So we believe that our present the people. We also bring the technology there, because sometimes the teachers comes with the laptop.
Yeah.
They will teach using the laptop or the video, but it must be working together. Not only the technology, not only the people, but we come together.
Okay, so talking about technology technopreneur, Mbaim, you're one of them, and then as a woman technopreneur in the country, how do you see that technology can pave the way for women in business? How can technology help them improve their business, improve their livelihood?
We rely on technology. Yeah, we cannot say that we don't need technology, because right now everything that we do, especially in the business, it's always involved technology, especially for women. I think by having the technology, using internet and all the application and all that, it helps women to scale up their business. For example, financial applications. We can get financial access through internet. That helps a lot of women to grow their business, because I might be not the right example, because I can easily access to any financial banks or investor and all that, but most of women in Indonesia, what I heard is when they want to get some loan from bank, they need to get approval from the husband.
Yes.
And the fact the husband doesn't involve in the business. And that barrier can be solved with the technology.
Right.
That's one thing. Technology also gives us flexibility to work, because in this patriarchy society, if based on study by McKinsey, Indonesia is one of the countries which pretty good in terms of women empowerment, but we actually still have a lot of homework. In this patriarchy society, people expect women to be able to have a good career, but at the same time, you also have to be a good mother. You also have to be responsible with the elderly. You have to be a good wife. When you are lack of one of those factors, say you forget your children's homework, or you just forget to come to attend one of those important events in the family, then society starts to judge us. So by having technology working with the internet, those kind of issues can be reached.
Okay, interesting. So I keep telling people that it's super difficult to be a single woman in the country because not only the options are limited, but you cannot open business because you gotta have the husband's approval. And I'm not married, so that's twice as difficult. Anyhow, so moving on to Yuka. Yuka, you mentioned in your presentation that you're not yet sending your products abroad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if we're talking about expansion. Into a global scale. What is the main challenges for SME, such as yourself, to scale up?
It's a lot of things.
In terms of like policies, maybe. I mean, the market is out there.
Yeah, okay. For us, it's I answer on behalf of my business. So for us, it's a business decision because right now, like the country is growing. The market's growing, and our segment is hyper growing, which is e-commerce. So it's not wise for me to focus on the area that are not yet our focus. I mean that in this country alone, it's a $5 billion industry, and we're still very tiny compared to that. Well, but because of technology, now we're easily got inquired by other countries. Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Japan, Europe, USA. Every country has contacted us and interested in our products, but still, for us, let's focus on the current home first. Let's be number one first, and then let's go abroad after that, because it's a totally different business model. If we sell online, it's easier, but one thing that I really have to tell for the government is that it's not the policy. The policy has been doing very well, like lots of advancements in the last few years. But the logistic is the Achilles heel. For example, my friend, he has a business focuses on e-commerce fashion in Malaysia. For Malaysians to send the products to Indonesia, it costs him around $5 to $10. For us to send to Malaysia, it costs us $30 to $40. And our average product size is $40 to $50. So it's like comparables to the products. Why is that? It's because of the logistics in Indonesia is still not working very well. And then the tax policy, probably, I don't know, but I haven't had any experience. But like sending abroad is more expensive compared to receiving products. So probably this is going to be your homework.
Interesting. So, jadi dari Kementerian Keuangan tolong dicatat itu tadi lebih mahal katanya kalau keluar. Gimana? Okay, ke Haifa. Haifa, so we talk about technology and then so business perspective. Next is human capital, which is also very important. The government is focusing on human capital for the next government elected next year. So what do you think is, so we keep saying that education has the biggest budget, the APBN kita. But the issue has always been like how to implement the budget. Since you're the person on the ground, what will be the right policy for our education policy?
Okay, so I think this is the hard question because sometimes the government people also in the local government always what kind of policy that Indonesia Mengajar provide after working like 8 years in the locals. But what things that we believe is about the presence of the teachers. Because numbers of the teachers in Indonesia is very big numbers. But the distribution of the teachers is very, very low. Because nobody wants to be placement in the area with the limitation of the access, water, electricity, signals, like a millennials right now. Nobody wants to placement like that. But in that kind of place, there's students that you have to teach them. So I think if we're talking about the policy, maybe about how to make the teacher having a motivation to be put it in the remote area, because every children have must have a good education, because of what we see, the numbers of the teachers is very big. The distribution
has always been the issue.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not really like fully rata gitu ya. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna start reading questions that you have submitted for us. For Queen Rights, what policy you think is important to boost women participation, I guess, in economy?
Interesting question. I already make some notes on that. I think any one of you from the government can also take the notes. First, in terms of skill, women need access to fund, mobile money, crowdfunding, and because many women lack of knowledge toward the technology, therefore we need more education about how to use technology, especially to create a business. Third, about the information gap. Every single information that coming from the government should be, this is about law and regulation, should be mobile enabled, web enabled. That's one point. It's about how to upgrade the skill. I call it skilling. Yeah. And number two, we need more role models that use internet, social media, the technology to boost their business. Right now, we don't have that much. We don't have that much, probably because there's no enough coverage about their existence. Yeah. And we also need new technology business model, which is e-commerce that involve women in designing the platform. So I call it's a gender-sensitive platform. And what I mean by involving women in designing the platform, it's not just about hiring female designers, rather having a feminine mindset, a mindset that can help women to understand the platform. Because right now there is a big gap between the technology and women. Therefore, we need a bridging. So that 3 points: skilling, role model, and also a new business model that gender sensitive.
Okay, interesting. So for Yuka, I guess. So you mentioned about the challenges that you have in your industry, but as an entrepreneur, do you have suggestion to the government to foster entrepreneur spirit for youth in earlier stage, be it in a corporate or maybe in the school material?
That's a good idea. Well, for me personally, we started the business 6 years ago. It was different. It's way different compared to today. Like 6 years ago, if you're an entrepreneur, it means that you cannot get a better job, especially me in an engineering school. If you're an entrepreneur, it means that you have bad grades. But now, in only 6 years, it shifted. Like entrepreneurs is sexy. Like entrepreneurs is like a hero. And I have to say that government has a huge role on that 6 years. Like right now, lots of young entrepreneurs being exposed and then being invited to speak at international forums like this, and then being invited to abroad. It's working for me personally, I think. So the suggestion is keep doing your great job, and then be more aware about this movement, because at the end of the day, like we all know that entrepreneurs build the economy.
So I guess the opportunity right now are opening up. So people, just the young generation needs to jump into the bandwagon, I guess. Right?
Or else we'll miss the opportunity, because now, like now until like what 30, the next 30 years, it's our golden age. So let's participate.
All right, so this is for Haifa. How to make teacher in rural areas, I guess, as passionate as Indonesia Mengajar teachers, and how to make educational improvement sustainable in Indonesia.
So, Indonesia Mengajar itself work in that regions is only 5 years. We didn't work for long, because we believe that the best way to make them stand by themselves is to let them. And then what we do in the 5 years is we are looking for the local champions. So we working with that local champion for 5 years, and we make sure that they have knowledge, they have competence to work for education in that area. And then also we believe about the connecting peoples, because actually their spirit to work for education is very high, but because they don't have a friends who also have that kind of spirits, so sometimes they spirits going down. So what we do in these 8 years is try to connecting people in the remote area with the people in Jakarta. So we invite not only to become a pengajar muda, so we also invite a volunteer to people or professionals in the big city to become volunteers in the remote area. So by connecting people, it can be make the spirits of working for education is still high. So that's why some of the teachers in the remote area right now, the motivation to come to the school is higher than before, because they have a friends. Even the friends, it's not in the same area, because they have a friends. So like the teachers in the Aceh having friends, the teachers in the Papua, and then also having the same spirit in education. So that's why we also connecting each other.
So teachers exchange.
Yes.
Yeah, that can be done. Okay, I would like to open for one question. Satu pertanyaan dari floor yang ingin bertanya. Ada yang ingin bertanya? Dalam bahasa Indonesia juga tidak apa-apa. Ada yang ingin bertanya? Kalau enggak, saya langsung balik ke Brodo lagi. Oke, kalau begitu kembali ke semua all the speakers. We talk also about increasing human capital in the country. So what do you think will be the most substantial, most fundamental policy, or be it something, an idea that or innovation that can increase the human capital level in Indonesia based on your experience in your line of work? Mayim, you can start.
Right now we always talking about literacy, but I think the latest literacy is digital literacy. Yeah, this is one of the key issues in our generation. Not just to the millennials, but also the baby boomers and to the younger generations. Before I came to this event, I joined minister-level ASEAN meetings in Ubud.
Yeah.
I helped ASEAN Secretariat to review the investment of information technology in 10 countries. And very sad facts that I found during the review is Indonesia having a very low digital literacy, even compared to Vietnam. We probably as low as Laos. So one of the big issues that we need to tackle in terms of human resource is how to upgrade the digital skill of the public. If we don't have that digital literacy, what happened to this country is we're very easy to spread false news. We cannot use the technology to bring up our potential. Rather, we use the technology to divide us. So that's the sad facts that I believe government should put very much focus on that. And if right now Pak Jokowi may focusing on infrastructure, I think for the next 5 years, what most important is focusing on human capital and especially increasing the skill of digital literacy.
Okay, that digital literacy is one. Yuka, what about you? What's your insights?
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Digital literacy is going to be fundamentally changing for the next generations. But I think because human capital is a long-term game. It's not something that we can see the results in the next 2 or 3 years. It has to be a commitment from every stakeholders, government, private, everybody, to really invest and pay attention. For us, for Indonesians now, the problem is, pemerataan. What's the English?
Disperse?
Like what Indonesian Mengajar do is, I'm really a huge fan of their movement because they give chances to other part that is being forgotten. Like I never heard of those like areas that you've mentioned. I remember Kepulauan Yapen because that's the most expensive shipping cost, and we've sent the shoes to Yapen Waropen. But equality for access, for information, for education. I'm very fortunate. Like I grew up in Jakarta. I get a chance to live abroad with my father, and then I get the best school ever that can, which is ITB, #1 school in Indonesia.
Alumni ITB, mana suaranya?
Well, hey, I'm very fortunate, and then me in this position is not because of me, but because of the ecosystem, because all of the parts that involved. What happened if I'm born in Yapen Waropen? I'm going to be, probably cannot do anything like this. So equality, access is going to play a huge role for the next 20, 30 years.
Haifa?
Totally agree with this, Mbak Im and Mas Yuka also. And access, digital literacy, but just adding one thing that also I think important for the human capitals is about the analytical thinking that when you want to innovate something, is this that really what we need? Is that really what the Indonesian needs? Because once you didn't Brodo, Queen Drive, we think that the important things is about the assessment, that is the real things that we need, because once when you invent something or when you doing something, when it's not the root cause of the things, it will not impactful. So I think the thing is also how to make the assessment of what we need is the real one.
Okay, so creativity, innovation. Okay, so I guess to wrap up the conversation this morning, we are experiencing this economic transformation, and the young generations are basically the one who drives the transformation because they're the youth population is. We have a huge amount of the population of the youth here in the country, but we also need to upgrade the digital literacy and also opening up access by basically, I guess, more engagement and collaboration from all stakeholders, be it the government or the private sectors or the civil society movement and sort of stuff. And also having creativity and innovation is always good. And I guess by having this event, talking to this event at this event hosted by the Ministry of Finance, it means that the government is listening to what is going on the ground and what are our inputs in order for the government to create a better policy that can be adjusted for the generations to come. Please give them a warm applause. Thank you very much for the very insightful and resourceful speakers, and thank you very much. And I'll give the floor back to MC. Silakan.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Give a round of big applause once again, ladies and gentlemen, to our speakers and also our moderators. And please kindly remain on the stage. So to give the token of appreciations, would like to invite the Vice Minister of Finance, Republic of Indonesia, Professor Mardiasmo. Please come up on stage to give the token of appreciations to the speakers. So once again, we'd like to say thank you very much to all our speakers. Thank you to Yuka Harlanda, to Iim Fahima, and also Haifa Mustalifa. Thank you very much. Berkenan Bapak untuk berfoto bersama dengan speaker. Time for the photo session. So once again, thank you very much to the speakers. Give a round of big applause, ladies and gentlemen. Also, thank you to our moderator, Mrs. Andini Effendi. Thank you very much. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, after this, we will hear a special remarks from the Vice Minister of Finance, Republic of Indonesia. But before that, we will have a short break for a while, and we'll be back. Please don't go anywhere. Thank you.